What is up, anglers? We're back with another California fishing news for October 30th, 2019. Let's get into it. First topic today, we'll talk about the tuna fishing. It's almost November, but the tuna are still around. It was definitely a slower week on the grounds for the yellowtail or the yellowfin boats, the full day boats. There was a couple of good hits in the last week, but the overall numbers are definitely down. The temperatures are dropping as well. If you're watching this, what we're looking at here is the 8-day composite sea surface temp. This is the 3-day, and this is the 1-day. So if you're just listening to it, basically, you can see very clearly that the temps are dropping over the past week. This isn't to say the tuna are gone. They're still seeing a lot of them. They're even seeing them up around Catalina still. There's definitely still tuna to the north of San Diego, but they're just not getting the hits that they were getting the previous week. This isn't to say the season's over. I'm sure there will still be good days. It's just, we're reaching that time of year when they should start sliding south and looking for warm water. There's a chance that some of these 2-day boats now will head down here towards the lower 500 and find in this little bubble warm water down here. Targeted them there. Maybe they're biting better down there. But there hasn't been any boats looking recently. There's been a couple boats running out of the LA area, 22nd Street, San Pedro, that have been running, like the Pursuit fishes Catalina. They saw a bunch of tuna, a bunch of bluefin on their most recent trip, and then there's been the Native Sun doing these 3/4 day offshore trips, where a few days ago they had a hit for over 50 yellowfin. The past couple days they got a few, and then yesterday they didn't get a bite, even though they did say they were still seeing tuna around. So the tuna are still there. Mixed bluefin, yellowfin, and skipjack all in U.S. waters, but they're just not biting. The focus now, a lot of the season the fleet's been fishing between a 302, 371, 425, these areas south of the border. And this last week, the boats were all working in the 182, 181, 43, kind of this triangle, and searching around there. But the more exciting news, the focus really has switched to the bluefin. The bluefin have showed right back up where they belong, on the backside of San Clemente. There hasn't been any huge hits yet, but boats are getting to hook a few. It's been windy. It's been not the best weather, especially the past couple days. But boats are hooking them. A lot of big fish, some super cows, some 100s to 175s, and some of the smaller 45, 55, 65, 75 pound fish as well. Sounds like it's all mixed in back there. Not that it's been biting wide open, but there have been a number caught on flatfalls, a number caught on stinker rigs, and some caught on double treble mast on a kite. So it's not just the flying fish stuff like it was earlier in the year. It bodes well for the fall. November's coming up. November's been the best. October, November, really, the past couple years have been the best time for this big bluefin, especially they start eating the heavier line, 130 pound test, start eating 5-line baits and all that. So it bodes well for the future. Hopefully it sticks around, because as I keep talking about, I've got a trip leaving in a couple weeks, 3.5 day, that's trying to go target the big bluefin, and I'm really hoping we get a good shot at them. Moving on, after tuna, swordfish, not a ton to say here, except for people are still catching them. It's fairly consistent, not a ton of people targeting them, but people are catching them. They say you got to really put in the time, and you stare at the rod tip for hours and hours on end, trying not to go crazy and looking for that bite. But if you're willing to commit, you got a shot at one. There was a number caught over the past week. So if you're interested in learning about that, check out Eric Landisfield's Instagram. He's going to write an article about it coming up. And then there's a couple charters. Bite Sport Fishing wants to target them. I said last week Dwayne got one, so he knows how. He'll be targeting them in the future. So you'll have some options coming up on how to target the swordfish. Pretty cool that it's kind of changing the fishery. It's a new thing here. So, moving on to the Outer Banks. The Freedom was out on a 1.5 day trip, and they said because the tuna fishing was slow, they explored some new waters, and they had 74 yellowtail, I believe, for 21 anglers, and a bunch of other bottom fish, stuff like that. I'm not sure, but my money is that they were out at Tanner or Cortez. It makes the most sense. There's probably still yellowtail out there. The boats will probably start looking now. A lot of times this time of year, as they fish the backside of Clemente, if it's a little slow, they swing out to Cortez or Tanner, and they kind of work that whole area. So there's a good shot we see good fall yellowtail fishing out at the banks as well. Islands, inshore, surf. First, the islands are definitely still kicking out some yellowtail. Again, not huge numbers, but yellowtail are at Catalina. Yellowtail are at Clemente. Not a ton of boats targeting them because everyone's been targeting tuna. But like I said, the Pursuit fishes the full day Catalina trips. They went 3 for 7 on yellowtail yesterday. They caught a bunch of bottom fish, and then they went and stopped on a whole bunch of foam and bluefin, but didn't get any. So same with some boats. I saw some photos of boats that were at Clemente. Didn't have a huge number of yellows, but definitely some of those big, nice 15, 20-pound yellows. So definitely got a shot at yellowtail at either of the islands. The surf, there's still some of the usual suspects around. Corbina being caught, some croaker, some perch. Temps are cooling off, we've even said, but another report is some sand crabs being found, so you still got a shot. It's also kind of the time of year when it's going to transfer to kind of a winter surf fishing time, which you don't have to stop surf fishing in the winter. The species change, the Corbina leave, and you might not get the croaker, but you can target sargo and opali and halibut and a lot of these other fish. You just got to look for different stuff. You know, usually the Corbina are always in the sand. You want to get some sargo, some other fish like that. A lot of these fish are really good eating. Sargo, even opali, people don't like to eat. I was talking to a guy last week who says, I mean, as long as you don't puncture their stomach contents and you just fillet them, skin them, they are really good, firm white flesh. So I believe it. So I don't think you have to stop surf fishing in the winter. It's not quite as nice when it's not sunny and warm, but it's definitely, you got plenty of fish to target year long from the shore. You don't have to go out on one of these boats if you want to go catch yourself dinner. Not a ton of inshore reports. Again, most people have been out there fishing either offshore or fishing the islands, so I don't have any intel on La Jolla or anywhere like that. Looking at the weather for this week. Synopsis for the far southern California coast. Offshore flow will dominate today through Thursday morning. Isolated and intermittent gusts up to 25 knots are expected. Swell and wind waves will come from all directions with different periods, creating confused and chaotic seas. Northwest flow returns Thursday afternoon. Offshore breezes during nights and mornings will be followed by onshore breezes during afternoons and evenings through Saturday. Slight increase in onshore flow Sunday. There is a small craft advisory in effect today, Wednesday, through late tonight, tomorrow morning. It's nothing for the big boats. They'll be totally fine, but if you're in a little skiff, you probably know this already. You want to be careful out there, especially just with the chaotic seas. It's no fun. You're just going to get beat up. But after that, the weekend looks totally fine. It's starting to be that time of year where we got to keep our eye for the first winter storm to come through, but it does not seem to be in the immediate forecast. Moving on to Central California and Northern California. There was a couple boats that fished the saltwater salmon out of South Saluda in the past week. They got a few fish, but nothing really to write home about. That season does end tomorrow, so you've missed your chance for the saltwater salmon, but everyone is reporting they had a really good season, which hopefully bodes well for next year as well. The rock fishing up there is still excellent, like it generally is when the boats can get out there, and really good lingcod fishing as well when the weather allows them to get out to some of the farther spots. Still some stripers we caught in the Delta, halibut in the SF Bay, the usual suspects there as well. The more exciting news for up there is that the Dungeness Crab season is slated to open on November 2nd, so just a few days here. It's a really great time of year to do one of the combo crab and rockfish trips to get some really, really excellent table fare. People are excited after the early closure of the season last year, and historically, the beginning of the season is going to be your best time to get crabs. Also, the rockfish season up there closes December 31st, so you only have the next 2 months to get the good rockfish for your freezer. Rockfish freezes really well. It's an excellent white fish, super, super good for frying up, breading, making tacos, all that sort of thing. So if you want to get some good table fare, great time to check out some of those combo trips. Look at your local Northern California landing. Moving right along. Freshwater. You know, it's been Eastern Sierras continue to kick out good fish all throughout the normal lakes, Virginia Lakes, Twin Lakes, June Lake Loop, Mammoth Lakes. All of them are fishing pretty well. As to be expected this time of year, you got to deal with cold temps. We've got some nights down in the 20s, but if you can put up with the colds, you can be rewarded. It is the best time of year if you want to catch a big brown trout, one of the wild ones out there. They say you really want to go when the weather's the worst. So Good time of year. A lot of those lakes I just mentioned all close on November 15th. The season closes up there. There's still some waters you can fish. The Owens is open year-round. There's some certain pockets that are open, but the majority of the lakes close November 15th for the winter. So you're running out of time if you want to make your way up there and get some of the excellent trout fishing. Some parts of the other parts of the state, though, are getting ready for the stalker trout season that happens all over the state. Northern California is going to start stalking them anytime now. Us here down in San Diego, they probably won't start stalking them until December. Kind of depends on the lake, but some of the local lakes I'm looking at were slated to start stalking around December 15th. So it's always fun in the winter. You can go throw out some power bait, sit on the shore, eat some food, bullshit with your friends, and catch some trout to take home for dinner. When I get more information on the stalking down in San Diego, I'll definitely talk about that next week. The steelhead and salmon fishing continues to be good for the Northern California rivers, the Klamath, the Trinity, such like that. Again, it's can be cold and you've got to deal with the weather, but there's plenty of fish getting kicked out of there. You can see the Sacramento River, Klamath, and the Trinity are the ones they talk about most often, but if you're up there, you know the rivers that are by you. Check them out. The bite's been generally pretty good. It's also a pretty good time of year to fish Lake Tahoe. Before winter kicks in, they've been getting good kokanees, good macks, and a couple of Tahoe Grand Slams have been reported. That's when you get the four main species up there, which are kokanee salmon, Mackinac Lake trout, rainbows, and brown trout. The kokanee are really small. They're about 12 inches, but they got nice orange meat, be real tasty. The macks can get pretty big, 5, 10 pounders are not that uncommon. And then the trout are general trout size. They got some big wild ones up there as well. So good time of year to fish Tahoe while you still get some nice fall weather before winter happens. I know that it's been cold up there and the snow resorts are starting to make their own snow. It's dry, but it's cold enough. So they're getting ready to kick off their main season up there. I heard the local lakes are all starting to transition towards that fall, winter bass bite. There's still some chasing bait up on top water, but it's about time the fish kind of make their way deeper. They won't be up shallow anymore. But you can get really good fall fishing, so you got to put your time in. But it can be a great time of year to fish bass. I know some of the local San Diego lakes actually close. My favorite one just closed for the season. Unfortunate, but there's still plenty of places you can fish, so go check that out if you're a bass fisherman. Last but not least, there's a couple events I'll talk about this week if you are local to the San Diego area. First, Fisherman Landing Tackle Day. I talked about it last week. That's coming up. It is this Saturday, November 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a number of presentations, seminars from really, really good anglers. Brandon Hayward from Bite's doing a kite presentation for fishing for the big bluefin. Frank and Lopreste and Bill Kavanaugh from the Royal Polaris and Intrepid are doing a presentation on long-range Guadalupe Island fishing and wahoo fishing, respectively. Taro from Liberty is doing a local tuna tactics. There's a hoop netting bug seminar, San Diego Bay seminar, how to care, fillet, and prepare your catch seminar from Fisherman's Processing. And a guy from Accurate's doing a seminar on big fish and proper tackle. What exactly that entails, I'm not sure, but you can always get some good information out of those, and there's always sales down there too. They do their casting contest if you want to go test yourself against the other anglers. It's just if you got the day off and you're obsessed with fishing like I am, it's always fun to go down there, check it out, maybe get a deal on some gear. The last event is the Alpine Beer Fishing Team monthly meeting is the first Sunday of the month, which is this Sunday, November 3rd at 9 a.m. up at Alpine at their beer pub there. It's open to families. You do not have to be 21 and up. They do an awesome raffle, give away a ton of really good gear, and it's just like a cool group of people. So I unfortunately won't be able to make this one, but I will be at the December one, so maybe I'll see you all there next month. That's it. Quick one this week. Make sure to subscribe, give us 5 stars in the App Store, all that. Tell your friends. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back again next week with more California fishing news.